And what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Globe podcast. I'm Andrew Barry. Okay, so on the last episode, I did say that if you had any questions, to submit them all to the Sports Globe podcast at gmail.com. But before I do that, I just have to address something real fast because it's getting a lot of attention on ESPN, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. So as most of us know, Caitlin Clark was officially drafted by Indiana in the WNBA, and a lot of people have been very boisterous about her rookie contract, the fact that she's only going to make north of $330,000. What you guys need to understand is that the WNBA is not a profitable league. Now, listen, I understand that it's about to be, but just understand where I'm coming from. Before Caitlin Clark was even drafted, the WNBA had never turned a profit. Their attendance was always low. Their TV audience was always very low. I mean, hardly anybody ever paid attention to the WNBA ever. Now, obviously now with Caitlin Clark, the future is very, very bright. She has gotten a lot of attention, especially from ESPN and social media and so on. And she actually just signed a Nike deal worth 8 figures. So people just need to relax a little bit because as time goes on, the WNBA is going to be more profitable. They're going to start to make a little bit more money as time goes on, and then her contract's going to go higher and higher because the WNBA is actually going to have money to give to Caitlin Clark in the first place, and the NBA is not always going to have to cover their losses. She's also sold a record amount of merchandise so far. Obviously, she's going to be selling whole bunch of tickets for both Indiana and the road games as well. So the future for Caitlin Clark is very bright. She will definitely start to make a lot more money. So people just need to relax about that. Okay, so another thing that you have to remember is that if we're going to go over the finances about sports, then we need to keep this in mind. The NFL has 1,696 players that are on the active roster. So if every single NFL player were to make roughly the same amount of money, it would be $10 million per player. Now, the NBA, on the other hand, they have 450 players, which is 25% fewer players. And if you were to equal that money out, then every single one of those players would make roughly $22 million. And I think that's really shocking for a lot of people is that the average basketball player actually makes more money than football players do. But you have to, we all know that the NFL is by far the most popular league in America. They make the most money. They have the biggest viewers. They're in the top 50 almost every single year in viewership, and they make the most money. They have the most expensive tickets. We all know that. But even with that being said, you have to understand how economics works, okay? Which is why basketball players make more money than the average football player does because there are 25% fewer players in basketball, and that's why they make more money. Okay, so like I promised, we are going to get to a few questions here, and keep in mind that if you have a question that you would like to ask to, please submit it to sportsglobepodcast at gmail.com. Okay, so the first question is David in Atlanta. When do you think that the PGA and Live Golf will get something done in this division in golf? That's a very good question. I love golf, and I absolutely hate what both the PGA and Live Golf are going through. Last year there was like a little bit of an agreement that kind of seemed to fall through because there was a report that came out last year that both the PGA and Live Golf had came to some sort of agreement. Well, that appears to be thrown out the door now because now it appears that there wasn't really anything that was concrete, and Live Golf is still going after players that are still a part of the PGA. I mean, they already have Paul Casey, Brian DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, Bub Watson, and so on. And in fact, Roy McIlroy was apparently approached because there was a report that came out from a English paper that Roy McIlroy was approached by Live Golf and they offered him $850 million. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. McElroy actually did a live interview, and he said that there was no truth to that. Now, I'm not saying that he's lying, but I have to think that at some point he was definitely approached by Liv Golf at some point and offered him some amount of money of some sort. Now, I'm not sure if it's $850 million. I mean, he already says that that's not true, but the PGA really needs to be careful because it just seems that their strategy is just to wait this whole thing out and that they're just going to count on the next generation of players and just control them that way. Well, that's still not going to stop Liv Golf and Greg Norman for going after these players and offering them an outrageous sum of money to play in their league. But I am with you, Dave, in Atlanta. I really do hope that they can somehow, some way come to a agreement. I don't like this whole division that is going around in golf, and it's just really sad that it takes a Masters and that it takes a major and that it takes the Ryder Cup to bring all these players together in order to compete against one another. But hopefully at some point they'll come to a agreement in the future. Okay, so the next question, I don't have a name or a location. It says, I love the new rule changes in baseball, especially the pitch count. Do you think that maybe the pitch clock is making pitchers get hurt? Personally, I don't think so. I could see a little bit of a learning curve, especially if you're a veteran player, if you're over the age of 30 and you were just so used to getting like a certain amount of time. But I will say this. I do like the pitch clock, and I do like most of the changes that baseball has done. Obviously, it has led to better ratings on TV. It's actually led to good feedback from baseball fans also, and the new coming generation of baseball fans as well. They also seem to like it also. You have to remember that taking time, it didn't really become a thing until at least like the late 80s, because before the late 80s, the average on a baseball game was under 2.5 hours. Okay. In most sports, other than NFL games and college football games, most games usually have like a time limit of 2.5 hours. Which I think is fine because there's not really a whole lot of people that are complaining about that. And, I'm one of those people also. But, no, I don't think that the pitch clock is hurting baseball, the pitchers. Okay, the next question. Again, this doesn't have a name or location on it, but I'll read the question. As a Falcons fan, I really wanted Justin Fields, especially since the Steelers only acquired him for a conditional 6th-round pick. Yeah, I will say this. I think the Steelers got themselves an absolute steal. Fields is only 25 years old, and we all know that he could run. We saw him what he could do with the Chicago Bears. But me personally, I do think that some of that was because of bad coaching. The Bears haven't really had a good head coach in a while now, and I just don't think that he benefited from the coaching. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a homeboy or anything like that, because Justin Fields, he went to Harrison High School, which was my rival school, because I went to Kennesaw Mountain. Okay, so I know Fields very, very well. I know that he went to the University of Georgia, and then he went to Ohio State. So I know Fields very, very well. But the Steelers have already come out and they said that Justin Fields is going to start the season on the bench. Obviously, it's going to take an injury, for him to start. But I really do believe that Fields just needs a little bit of time. I do like the Steelers. I think the Steelers have a really good coaching staff, and that they're going to have a solid plan for him. So I think that he'll be fine. And I'm sure that Falcon fans really wanted him because he went to Harrison High School, which is in Kennesaw, and that he also went to the University of Georgia, and they would like to have him back. So I do agree with you.